I've told this story so many times and it did go very viral, but I've been getting a lot of comments since I came out about my family. About a lot of people really still don't know exactly what happened to my son, how it happened, and things like that. And a lot of people been asking me ever since I came out with that story time. So I feel like it's only right for me to tell this story one more time for this platform because I never told it on this platform. And that way I could pin this video and people will just know instead of having to keep asking me. So this will be a story time on how I lost my son at 18 years old. I'm gonna try to keep this in one part too. So I went down the line already how I was homeless and I was struggling with my son. Then I gained my new family. I went down that line already. If y'all didn't, that story time is already up. So go watch that video before you watch this one. So now this is around the time my auntie and Diamond Mama had helped me get a job at a hospital. I was patient sitting and I was patient transporting in the hospital. So they helped me get this job and I was able to take care of myself more and my son. So I was saving my money, putting all my money up. And then a side note, my auntie Tracia, I know I say her name a lot, but my auntie Tracia put me on her credit at 18 years old just so I could have a credit and things like that. So she put me on her credit, which means I had like 18 years worth of credit. My credit score was like a 760 when she did that for me. Because she knew I wanted to move eventually. She knew I wanted to give me and my son our own place. So she did that out of the kindness of her heart. I love that lady to death, still to this day for that. So I was able to get my first apartment. I moved in my first apartment around March, I think it was the end of February, March of 2022 with my 1-year-old son. So I'm 18, he's 1 year old. I moved in my apartment in March. So one day, my neighbors, I lived below the girl that used to watch my son. I used below her. She lived above me. One day I just heard her and her boyfriend just arguing really, really bad. And it was like a rainy, cloudy day. And they was arguing like really, really bad. So I heard her in the hallway. I opened the door. I seen her with her baby. She had a baby the same age as my son, but she had a daughter. I seen her with her baby with just like a t-shirt on and a diaper and no socks or anything. And I seen she was finna go outside in the rain with her baby because her and her boyfriend was just arguing. So I had opened the door with my son. Of course, I didn't know this girl, but I see you with your baby. And she looked young like me. She is older than me, but she looked young. So I'm like, I can help her out. So I'm like, if you want, you could come into my apartment so you could calm down so you don't have to go outside with your baby in the rain. Like, I got diapers. I got a onesie you could put on her. Like, you don't have to take her out like that. You could just come in here. And she was very, very thankful for that. She was like, yeah, we just getting into it or whatever the case may be. And that was the first time I genuinely met her. So like a day or two go by, I see a note on my door. It was a note from her just thanking me for helping her, telling her that she could come into my apartment. And mind you, I just moved in there, but I'm just like that. Like, I'm going to help anybody I see that need help. So after that, me and her became like really close because like I said, I was 18. I think she was 22 at the time. I'm not sure. Please don't quote me on her age because I really don't remember. But I think she was like 22 at the time. And we got really close after that because you see, I was a young mom with my kids. She was a young mom with her kid, but she lived with her boyfriend. So one day we were just chatting and talking, and I had just started serving and waitressing too with working at the hospital because now I got my own apartment, so now I got to try to keep up with my bills, afford my bills. So I'm doing that. One day me and her just having like a little talk, and she was telling me like she really hate how she have to always depend on her boyfriend as a stay-at-home mom, and she won't have her own money, and it's hard for her to get a job because he works most of the day and she don't have nobody to keep her baby, so she got to stay at home. Me coming from the situation I'm coming from, I understood that completely because I was just struggling like with really having people to keep my son. I just lost my whole family. So this is what I told her because I was working a 9 to 5 during the day. Then I would get off work at 5 o'clock. Then I would go to waitress at 6 o'clock to like 3 in the morning. So literally I was working all day. My son would be with my family or Diamond most of the day because I used to work and because I had to pay my bills. I had to make sure me and my son had a roof over our head. So I told her since she lived directly above me and she got her own kid. And she was like, y'all be questioning like the type of character she was. Like, she was really, really good with her daughter. And like I said, I was younger than her, a few years younger. So I seen how she used to be able to do things for her daughter that I couldn't do for my son because I was too busy trying to work and keep a roof over our head. And her daughter was like really, really smart. So I'm like, this is a good opportunity. I'm like, since I serve at night, when I get home from the hospital job, I could get him ready and I could bring him up to you, and then me and you, we could just split my tips, so that way you could save your own money. You would be able to have your own money. And that was a good idea. She was like, yeah, that'll work because I'm at home all day long. And that was easier for me because then my family wouldn't have to come pick Kyrie up, and I wouldn't have to find a way to drop him off every single day I had to work because I still didn't have a car, even though I had an apartment. So this is like April, like the end of April. Yeah, this is like the middle of April, end of April that we came up with this agreement. So she was watching my son, and y'all be asking me like, did you notice things? Did you notice things? I didn't really notice things because she was really, really good with my son. Like I told you, my son had bad separation anxiety, and he would cry and whine and stuff a little bit at first when he go her, but then he really wouldn't. And then she would update me all day long with my son. She would send me pictures of him all day long. She would call me all day long. She would literally post my son. Like, I have messages between me and her of us just talking like, dang, we really like each other family now. And like I said, I was working so much, so certain things that she was helping with my son I couldn't do. Like, she really taught my son how to count really good. She taught my son his ABCs. Like, she was really involved with my son, really teaching him things. So it's not like she was just like this certain person this whole time, which she probably was. I just didn't see it. She had a good way of covering it up. So this when I first started noticing, like, we getting towards, like, I lost my son in June. So we getting towards the end, like May, middle of May, towards the end of May. This is when I started really noticing signs of things. So one day, and then mind you, she used to go to school with Diamond as well. So it's like the middle of May, towards the end of May. She tell me like, oh no, I go pick him up and he had like a bruise on his arm. And I'm like, where he get this bruise from? Mind you, normally, like I said, she always check in, she always call me. And it was just a little odd to me that she didn't tell me, like, yeah, he hurt his arm or whatever, because she would tell me everything. So when I picked him up that night that she told me that, I'm like, what happened to his arm? Like, why you ain't call me or something? She was like, oh, it was nothing. He had got his arm stuck in the crib. And with me telling the story after I lost my son thing, and I'm able to self-reflect and look back, like, how can a baby arm get stuck in a crib that's designed for a baby? Like, I get what I'm saying? Like, but I'm so young and I'm trusting her that I'm not really even seeing it that way. Like, oh, and it was just like, I swear, it was like this small of a bruise on his arm. My son was really, really light-skinned, so he was bruised easily. So that was the first little incident that I'm like, okay. So some time go by. She's still watching my son. Everything's still good. Everything's still great. Now, this is the second time I noticed something. And this is the second time that something happened to him in her care that she did not tell me. So I'm like, what the? So that's what I'm saying. We at the middle of May. Now we like towards the end of May. I picked my son up one night, and his lip is like really, really bruised, like swollen, like, I don't, like, it's not something he could fall. I'm saying this now because I know now, but then I didn't really think, but his lip was swollen. And I asked her then, like, why you ain't call me? Why you ain't tell me something had happened to him? Like, what's wrong? Like, why my baby lip bruised? She was like, oh, he was playing in a tub and he slipped and fell. And me being as young and naive as I was at the time, I believed her because, like I said, she was really good with my son, for one. And then for two, my son, like, I know my son, I know my kid. My son used to really stand up in the tub all the time, play, splash in water, because my son literally loved playing in the water. So I'm like, okay, that could sound like true because I know my baby. But I'm like, that's when I started, like, relying on other friends and Diamond more than just her to watch my son. Because I'm like, maybe it's really just too much for her to be keeping, like, two babies at the same age. I'm like, maybe she can't really keep up. Y'all, this video about to end. I'm sorry, I gotta do part 2. I really be trying to tell it all at once thing, but I gotta do part 2, so I'm about to record part 2 right now. I ain't even gonna wait to post it. This is part 2 on how I lost my son at 18. So at the end of the story, I was talking about, like, the first part, I was talking about how he had this bruise on the lip. And I started recognizing, like, maybe it's becoming way too much for her to keep up with two kids, because she used to just having her 1-year-old daughter. And then she's having another toddler that's 1 year old. And I know how active both of them be, because I used to watch them too. Like, on my off days, if she just, like, we live right next to Myers, the grocery store. If she just wanted to run to the grocery store and run somewhere really quick, and she didn't want to take her daughter, she would bring her daughter down to me, and I would keep both of the babies as well. So I know how busy and active both of them used to be together. So I'm like, maybe this is really becoming way too much for her. So then I started relying on Diamond more, and relying back on Diamond more and my other friends to, like, just come over my apartment while I go to work to keep him, because I started to feel like maybe this was too much to her, but she was still watching him, like, when I really couldn't get nobody else to watch him, because Diamond worked as well. So, like, when the days I really couldn't get nobody at all to watch him, I would still have to rely on her and depend on her, because she right upstairs. And my aunties in them work, and I really only had them on, like, their off days and the weekend days, and I worked, like, every day. Literally, I would work every single day. So, like I told you, that was, like, that was, like, the middle of May going towards the end of May. Now we, like, in the beginning of June. So, like I said, I wasn't relying on her that much, but my son was still going there. So this is the day that the incident happened. Please don't quote me on the dates. I believe it was June 11th, June 12th, or June 13th. One of those 3 days where the incident happened. I really can't think that clearly right now, but it was one of those days, like the beginning of June, like the first or second week of June. I'm at work. I'm at my serving waitressing job. I'm working and everything, and so I get a text from her, like, earlier in the day, like the beginning of my shift, like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch him anymore, because now I'm going to really be trying to get, like, a real job, and he's becoming too much. Like, he's so sneaky. He keep getting into stuff, and you need to really try to find somebody else that'll be able to keep him as much as I'm keeping him. And when she told me that, like, that's what I told y'all in my fan video. When somebody tell me to get my kid, or they can't keep my kid, that's my kid. So, of course, you tell me you can't keep my baby no more, cool. I will make sure that somebody else can keep my baby. I'm not even tripping. So I text her back then, and I tell her, I'm like, okay, well, I will find somebody else to watch, and I have to work the next day as well. So I'm like, okay, tomorrow you won't even have to worry about him. I'll make sure I got somebody else to watch him. So then she sent me another text around, like, 10 o'clock. I think it was, like, 10:30 or whatever. It was like, yeah, this is what I mean. He got into some soap, and he ate some soap while he in the tub. I had to dig it out his mouth. Like, he's really becoming really bad, and I can't watch him no more. This and that. I'm like, okay, well, I get off. Like I told you, I used to get off like 3 in the morning. But that day, I was just going to leave a little early anyways, because I'm like, it was slow at work. I'm like, and she keep telling me that my baby is acting away. So I'm going to just leave work soon and go get my baby. So I usually used to leave around 3. But this night, I planned on leaving like at 2 at the latest. Because I'm like, I'm about to just go get my baby. Like, I'm not even going to trip on that. So right before I got off, like I told you, I was planning to leave early anyway. So she sent me another text at 1:21 in the morning. She sent me a text of my baby face bruised, like his whole side of his face was bruised up. Like, it'd be kind of touchy for me to tell the story, especially since I'm pregnant, my hormones is high. So she sent me a picture of my baby face, like, really bruised up and beat up, and I'm just looking like, what the heck? She was like, I think he's having an allergic reaction from the soap I had to dig out his mouth earlier. So when she told me that, I lost it. Like, I'm telling y'all, like, I showed the bartender at the bar. I'm like, bro, look at this. Look at my baby face. And I'm like, she telling me it's allergic reaction. I got to find a way home. And like I told you, I did not have no car. So I'm just sitting there at the bar. I'm panicking. I'm like, well, I got to go home now. And I worked in East Point. I lived in Roseville. If y'all from Michigan, y'all know that area. If y'all don't, it's really like a 10-minute difference from. So I'm like, bro, I only live 10 minutes away. I need to find a way home now. Luckily, it was a genuine, nice man sitting at the bar, and he seen the picture of my baby face because I started panicking. And he was like, I'll take you there. I'll take you home. I'll take you home right now. I'll take you home to your baby. So he hurried up. We got in his car, and he took me home to my baby. As soon as I got there, I ran straight into the apartment, straight upstairs. And when I walked in the apartment, I see my baby laying on her kitchen floor. Mind you, when she sent me the picture of my baby, he was in the bed. She sent me a picture of when I walked in, I see my baby just laying on the kitchen floor, just twitching like he was having like seizures, whatever. And one of his eyes was like, popped out like it was, and I'm screaming his name like, Kyrie, 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 mommy here, Kyrie, Kyrie, Kyrie. And he's not responding to me at all. And I just snapped into like a traumatic type like mode. So after that, I ran into the corner because I could no longer see my baby like that. They tell me the ambulance and stuff on the way. I couldn't see my baby like that no more. So I just ran in the corner. I just started bawling, crying like this. Like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm losing, like, my baby is, and I never see no kid allergic reaction. I don't have any allergies myself. And this is, like, I never seen no kid go through this. So I'm just like, bro, I don't know if my baby gonna make it out of this. Because I know, like, kids and people die from allergic reactions. Like, I know that. So I'm just in the corner just crying like, oh, my God, I can't believe this is happening. I'm about to lose my baby. I'm about to lose my baby. She comes over. She was right there with me with him because I was trying to get him to respond, but he responded. So when I ran away in the corner and just balled up, she came over there and she was just holding me and hugging me like, Taylor, you got to be strong for him. The ambulance on the way is going to be okay. Everything going to be okay. You got to be strong for your baby. He needs you. He needs you. You can't act like this right now. So like 5 minutes later, felt like a century, the ambulance put up and her boyfriend had hurried up and picked my son up and ran him downstairs. At first I was like, no, because I didn't know if he could move that quickly and stuff, and I wanted the ambulance just to do it, but the boyfriend just like, no, let me hurry up and take him to the car, to the ambulance. Let me hurry up and take him to the ambulance. So he ran downstairs, he took my baby to the ambulance. So it was just me and my son in the ambulance. And she was like, just call me with an update. Let me know what's going on. I can't believe this is happening to him. Da, 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 da. So we in the ambulance, and it's just me and my son. My son's still not responding. And the EMTs in the ambulance, like, I'm asking them, like, what type of allergic reaction is this? What type of allergic reaction? And I don't know if it was not, and they, like, if they could tell me what's really was going on at the moment, if they was able to or allowed to, but they wouldn't tell me anything. Like, I'm telling you, I'm asking them questions after questions after questions. They won't tell me anything. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know. So we hurry up. We got to the hospital. They rushed him into, like, this emergency, like, trauma room. And all I know is it was, like, 15, 20 doctors in the room working on my baby. 30 doctors here, 30 doctors here. And I'm just standing there. And like I said, I'm 18 at the time. Still a kid myself, for real. And I'm just asking everybody that right there, like, what's going on? What's wrong? Can y'all tell me what's wrong? Can y'all tell me something? Nobody's telling me nothing. Everybody just talking over each other. Everybody just trying to rush and help my baby, which I am grateful for that they was trying to just hurry up and do their job. But I'm just sitting there like, bro, why nobody's telling me anything? Like, I need to know what type of allergic reaction this is so I can know what's really going on with my baby. Nobody tell me nothing. So all I know is a older lady come get me, and we go into, like, this little chapel little room or whatever. Mind you, my phone is completely dead too, but I know Diamond number by heart, of course. So I'm just sitting in this little chapel room, and the lady just like, sit here, try to call your family really quick. Try to call your family quick. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. They gave me a hospital phone. I'm like, I'm gonna try to call them, but in that moment, I really couldn't think of Diamond number because, like I said, I know her number by heart, but everything was just going on so quickly. So they gave me a charger for my phone, so we were just waiting there till my phone got cut on. And I'm just sitting there like, why y'all won't tell me what's wrong? Like, can y'all tell me, like, what type of reaction this is? Because I need to know what's going on with my son. Like, I want to know. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, don't y'all see me? I'm still in tears. I'm still going crazy. And I'm telling them, like, can y'all tell me? Like, why nobody is telling me what's going on with my baby? Like, nobody's telling me nothing. And they was like, we just want you to call your family first. We just want you to call your family first so you won't be alone, this, and that. So I finally got a hold of Diamond, and Diamond was like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm about to come to the hospital. And when they heard me say that Diamond was on her way, then that's when they finally, like, just started telling me certain things that was going on. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to make this 3 parts because the video is over. And I'm trying to talk as fast as I can, as y'all can tell, but I got to make it 3 parts. Okay, y'all, this is part 3 on how I lost my son. I really could have finished this story yesterday, but I felt myself, like, getting too emotional. So I didn't want to really keep talking about it. And then, like I said, I'm pregnant, so I be nesting and I be resting all day long. So I really just got up and started getting active because I was just asleep. But this is part 3 of how I lost my son. So I ended part 2 on saying, like, they finally started telling me what's going on. So after I got hold of Diamond, and now that's what I'm saying, now that I could look back at what was going on in the situation, like, They don't just be putting anybody in a chapel room and won't tell you what's going on. Like so that's how I knew that it ended up starting to be something serious, because why am I in the chapel room talking to like the church people and stuff at the hospital? So that's when I really started realizing that it was more of a serious situation than a allergic reaction. So after I called Diamond, they seen that I had family and stuff that's going to be on their way, because of course Diamond was going to start calling people herself. They was like, well, the doctors is looking over him and stuff right now, and these are serious signs of child abuse. Who was he with this night? Because like I said, y'all know I was at work. So I'm asking them, like, child abuse. Of course, I seen all the bruises and my son eye popped up. Like, I seen all that on his face. But like I said, I never had allergies myself, and I know how serious allergic reactions can be. Like, people die every day from allergic reactions. So I'm thinking, like, his face was just swelled up because he was really, like, having a real allergic reaction. And that didn't click to me that this girl was just beating on my child, because I would have never thought she would do that to my kid. She got a daughter herself, and I told y'all in the previous parts how good she really was to my son, until I started noticing little things, and I feel like it was overwhelming for her. That's why I started including other people to watch my kid just as much as she was. But I would have never thought in a million years she would put her hands on my kid. So mind you, like I told you, I was like 15, 20 doctors in there trying to work on my son. So one of the doctors come in with the chaplain people, and they would just tell me, like, yeah, these are signs of child abuse, and his brain is like swelling really, really bad by the moment and bleeding. Like he got to have surgery to be able to stop the bleeding so the swelling can go down. And when they told me that, y'all, like I'm telling y'all right now, that's why I don't like to talk, because I be about to cry. But when they told me that, I really started losing and going crazy, because I'm like, child abuse. My baby brain is swelling, and I don't know doctors and stuff like that, but I know Grey's Anatomy. So I know, like, when something like that is really serious going on, it's a chance that like they're dying. So when they told me that, I automatically was thinking like, oh my God, something is wrong with my baby. Something is wrong with my baby. My baby not gonna be the same. But I wasn't really tripping as much as they was until I talked to the surgeon. So like an hour go by, the surgeon comes into the chopper room, and now that, like I said, I gotta keep saying, now that I can look back at it, I really held like a type of hurt feelings in my heart towards the surgeon that did my son's surgery, because the lack of emotions he was showing. But I gotta remember, like, the type of surgeon he is, and that he's working on kids, like, they don't have time to be trying to be there for you and your emotions, because they got to be there for you with your kid in the surgery room. So when he came and told me what he told me, it was just so cold, and he just told me straightforward. Like, he told me, like, I'm about to take your son into immediate surgery right now, or he's going to die before the night is over with. And if I do be able to save him, there's a 100% chance possibility he's going to be paralyzed for the rest of his life. He won't be the same ever again. And when they told me that, like, of course, like I said, I was scared that my baby, I was losing my baby. But when they told me, like, even if they was able to save him, that he would have never been the same again. And I'm thinking, like, I know my son. Like, my son was so well advanced for 1 year old. Like, y'all be seeing the videos I be posting of him. Like, my son was so advanced for his age. So y'all telling me that my little boy, my little baby is never going to be the same again? Like, what are y'all talking about? And when they tell me that, like, I'm telling y'all, I really lost it. Y'all know in the movies when people just fall down and they just cry, like, that's really how it was. And it wasn't even on nothing dramatic or something. Like, I just felt every breath of my body just like I could not breathe. I could not believe that was happening. And I told you, I still haven't even seen my son, because they put me out of the little trauma room, put me in the chopper room. And by this time, just like 3 hours then went by since I last seen my son. So I'm like, what? Like, y'all telling me, like, and I'm like, can I even see him before he go to surgery? Because the surgery is supposed to be 5 hours long. And they was like, if he make it through the surgery, then he gonna have like a long recovery time, but it's a chance he won't even make it through the surgery. So I'm like, what? I gotta be able to see my baby before he go to surgery, because what if I don't never get to see him again, like, alive? Like, even though he wasn't really alive in that moment, I still, like, what if I never get the chance to see my baby again, kiss my baby again, nothing? So After the surgeon told me that, they took me, and by this time, Kyrie grandma on his dad's side was there, and his aunties on his dad's side had got there. So it was me, Diamond, them on her dad's side, and they finally took us up to where the pediatric surgeon stuff trauma part is, and they started rolling him to surgery, and they was able to stop him for like 30 seconds so I could be able to see my baby before he go into surgery. So they was able to stop him, and I just see my baby. When I seen him, he had all these a tube, like a breathing tube and everything. So it's like I was able to see my baby, but it was like, this is not my baby. Like, this is really like. So they took him to surgery. They put us all in this waiting room. So we wait in there, and I'm just sitting there crying, like, because I'm still in such disbelief. Like, I'm really losing my baby. Like, my 1-year-old son is in surgery right now. Like, what the heck? Like, so they finally put us to this little smaller room, because I was in a waiting room, surgery room with everybody else in the hospital that was waiting on somebody to get their surgery. But they finally moved me into like a smaller room with just me and my family to like try to get some insight. And this when the detectives start popping up, the police, and everybody that. So when the police and stuff got there, I'm asking them like, what's going on? Have y'all talked to her? And I'm showing them my phone, because before I got to the hospital and when I first got there, like I told y'all, my phone is there. So when my phone turned on, she was blowing up my phone, blowing up my Instagram DMs, blowing up my phone, texting me like, Taylor, is he okay? Taylor, is he okay? Keep me updated. I can't believe I let this happen in my care. I just want to make sure he's okay. I didn't think he would get into no soap like that. She just still blowing up my phone like that, blowing up my phone like that. So I'm asking the officers and the detectives that when they put us in this little smaller room, like, what's going on? Have y'all talked to her? This and that. They was like, no, we have not talked to her yet, because after you left and we found out that when you got to the hospital and stuff, and we seen that it was child abuse, they sent like the police cars and everybody over there to the apartment, and she had barricaded herself into the apartment for 2 whole hours. So they had to call, I don't know if they called the real SWAT team, but they called somebody like that type of team to break down the door, because she barricaded herself in the apartment. She wouldn't open the doors to let nobody in. At first, they was just trying to talk. Like, they was going to take her to jail, of course, but they was just like, now you really showing us that you really did something, because why is you barricading yourself into the apartment? So that's when the police told me that, and I showed them, like I said, I showed them the message. They was like, don't respond to her. Don't do nothing, because we trying to get her out of this apartment right now, because that was during the time she was still barricaded, whatever the case may have been. So after that, it's like, I told you I got to my son like 1 in the morning. Now it's like 6, 7 in the morning. I'm laying down. Everybody telling me like, get some rest, get some sleep, get some rest, get some sleep. But how can I get some rest and some sleep when my baby is in surgery? So I couldn't sleep. So finally, I got the first update from somebody that was in the surgery with him, and they was telling me like, he's still here, he's still doing fine. They was like, your baby is really a fighter. They still working on him. They still trying to get the bleeding to stop right now. So we got to see. We about to still just try to work and try to see if we could get some of the swelling out. So when they told me that, I'm like, okay, that's a little good news. Like, his brain is not swelling at the moment, and they trying to stop the bleeding. So I'm like, at least my baby's still fighting. Like, for a 1-year-old to be in surgery, that's what I said. The surgery's supposed to be like 5 hours. He probably been in surgery about 2 hours now. For my baby to be in surgery for 2 hours and he still was just fighting, like, that lets me know. That's what gave me the faith that I have. Like, okay, my baby fighting. I can't give up on him yet, because my baby is still literally fighting. I don't know why it's taking me so long to tell the story, but I'm about to do a part 4, but I'm about to post this now because y'all been begging for part 3. I'm sorry I'm pregnant and I've been asleep all day. Okay, this is part 4 to how I lost my son at 18. I'm about to really try to sum it up in this last part, because me personally, I don't even like watching those story times that's 1,000 parts. So I'm trying to be very considerate of y'all time too, because I know y'all really invested in what I'm saying about my son. So I'm about to try to hurry up and tell y'all in this last part. So I ended that last part in saying that my son was still fighting for his life. He was in surgery about 2 hours down. And they was telling me, like, they trying to locate where the bleeding is coming from, but his brain is not swelling at the moment, so they able to still do the surgery. And by this time, the detectives and everybody, they was telling me, like, they'll come back tomorrow to talk to me, or another day to talk to me after they see what's going on with her, because at that time they was only trying to see what I knew so far, but I didn't know anything because, like I told y'all, I was at work and they really had to try to see if they could get a confession out of her, see what really happened, because at this time nobody still knows what happened to my son, or what exactly did she did to him, because she's barricaded into the apartment. So I'm like, okay, I'll talk to y'all there. So, like I told y'all in the last part too, everybody kept on trying to tell me, like, get some rest, try to sleep, Taylor, try to get some rest. And I couldn't sleep, but after that, they gave me that first update about my son. I'm like, okay, maybe I could just close my eyes for like a little second, because I've been up since earlier that day because I went to work. I haven't slept, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go to sleep, close my eyes for like 30 minutes or so. They'll be able to come back and tell me my baby made it through his surgery, something. And it's like the moment I fell asleep, that's when they came back in there and told me, like, oh, we had to end the surgery because his brain started swelling again. So when they told me that, I'm like, what? And I'm telling you, this whole time of me losing my son, it's like the moment I would get good news, then I would get bad news. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, they just told me that he's doing good. He's doing good, but now they come back like an hour later telling me that they had to end the surgery because his brain started swelling again. And I'm like, okay, so what do this mean? They was like, well, since his brain started swelling again, it's a major part of his skull that we can't even put on. We just got to wrap some bandages around it because his brain is swelling too much out of his head to even put this part of his skull back on. So I'm like, okay. So they was like, we going to have to just watch him over the next period of days and see if the swelling go down to see if he even able to have another surgery. So I'm like, okay, like, I don't be trying to cry on this app. So I'm like, okay, we could do that, whatever the case may be. So now it's like 10 a.m. the next day. They was finally about to let me see my son after his surgery. So they was like, prepare yourselves, because he have a lot of wires and tubes and things like that connected to him. So I'm like, okay. And it's like, you can prepare yourself so much until you get in there and you really see your kid. Like, just imagine how I feel. So I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm trying to be strong for him because I got to be strong. His mom, I'm the only parent that's able to be here right now. Like, I got to be strong for him because I believe in, like, energy and stuff like that. If my energy and morale is down, I feel like my son will be able to feel that. So I'm like, let me try to be in the best spirits and energy that I could. But when they took me in there to see my son, I see my son with so many wires and tubes connected to him, and all he had on was a diaper and some socks. I just lost it. Like, I just started breaking down, crying again, because it's like, bro, what the heck? Like, what is really going on? Like, my life changed within 24 hours. Just the morning before, I was kissing my son, telling him I love him, giving her to him, telling him I would see him later that night. Now, the next morning, my son is in the hospital fighting for his life, when it's most likely a possibility he's not even about to come back. All right, so I was just losing it at that point. Like, well, I couldn't even stay in there that long at that time because I couldn't even see my son like that. So I literally couldn't. So after that, they was like, we want to just monitor him for a couple of days to see if we could be able to have another surgery. But still, he's not breathing on his own. He's not moving. He don't have no real brain activity or nothing because his brain is swelling and things like that. Like, he's only breathing through the breathing monitor. So over the next couple of days, we was able to watch if his brain was swell or not, because they had like a little monitor where we could see, and I was able to read it because they was telling me how to read the numbers and stuff like that. And it's like, over the next couple of days, his brain was swell, then it would go down. Then it would swell up again, then it would go down, and it would swell up again, like, it was just up and down for the next couple of days. And all them times, like I said, my son, this happened on June 13th. My son even died to June 22nd. So all them days he was fighting for his life in the hospital. And I did not leave not one of those days. Every single one of those nights, I spent the night right next to him in the hospital. And if I was to leave, I would only leave for like an hour or two, get some food, get some fresh air. I would not leave because I could not. I just kept on telling myself, like, what if I leave and he leave completely? Or what if I leave and he gets better and I'm not there? Like, I got to be there. So that's what was going on with my son. Now, back to her. The detectives came back and talked to me and my family and stuff, and they was telling me, like, they finally had an investigation interrogation, whatever it is, with her. They told me they interrogated her for 4 hours before she even tried to admit what she did to my son. She tried to say like she just snapped and went crazy and she really didn't mean to do that, but then she tried to take her confession back. So when they said that, I'm like, what? And it was just that. And then she didn't really, like I said, it took them 4 hours for them to talk to her, but she still wouldn't even tell the full story. All they told me is that she hit him, but then like this and that, like she was giving them the runaround for all that time, then confessed, like it was just too much going on with her. But I was irritated with that, but I was more so focused on my son at the time. So now we at like June 20th. I seen his surgeon again. His surgeon come in and talk to me, and he's telling me, now this is what he's telling me. He like, his brain still has been swelling up and down over the next period of days, so we don't know if we're going to be able to give him another surgery. And I'm like, what do that mean? What do y'all mean y'all not going to be able to give my baby another surgery? They was like, because he's not breathing on his own. He's not showing no activity, no brain activity, nothing like that. Like, they'll do like, you know, when you go get your baby physical exam and they try to see if their reflexes working and stuff like that. Like, none of my son's reflexes was working. And if they was seeing like a little tiny signs, it was only on one side of his body where his brain wasn't damaged at. So I'm like, so what do y'all mean y'all not gonna give him another surgery? They was like, and they said because of that. And they was like, we really want to take him off the breathing tube to see if he would be able to breathe on his own. And I'm like, how y'all gonna take my baby off his breathing tube if y'all telling me right now that you already know that the only reason why he's still breathing is because of that? So I'm like, what? So they gave me a day to decide if I wanted to let that happen to see if he'd be able to breathe on his own. They wasn't gonna just take him off the tubes right away when they told me that. So I had a whole day, and that whole day I had to prepare myself or see my son breathe. I'm just praying to God. Like, I didn't want to lose my faith in my baby because this is my only blood in this world. This is my only family that I really know like that. I'm like, bro, and he came from me. This is my kid. It's been me and my kid all this time. And I told y'all before how bad me and my son was just struggling for me to even get to this point where we got our own place, own apartments. It's like, as soon as I get up and me and my son is good, we stable, then I lose my son. It was really for like, what was I doing all that for? Like, what was I working 2 jobs for? What was I getting an apartment for? It was like, what am I doing all of this for if I'm about to just lose my baby? So I was not accepting that. Like, when they was telling me they was gonna take him off that breathing tube to see if he'd be able to breathe on his own, or they was gonna pronounce him dead, I'm like, I'm not going for that. So, like that whole day, I'm just trying not to lose faith because I'm like, bro, I know I did not just go through all of this for nothing just to lose him. So I had the whole day to do that, and now we on the 22nd. So now they like, okay, we're gonna see. I decided like, yeah, we can see if he's gonna breathe on his own. Cause for one, I wanted my son to make it. I wanted my son to come back, but at the same, and he was fighting. Like, they was telling me, like, he's holding on to like more than most babies have in his age could. And I'm like, I know my baby is holding on just because of me, and he don't want to just leave me. But on that day when they was like, we're gonna do it, and I decided like, yeah, we can do that, because I didn't want to keep putting my baby through unnecessary measures just because of me and how I felt. Like, if my baby wanted to be gone, I would let him be freely because I know he's going to a better place. And this part, and I try to end it in one, so hopefully the next part's the last. And I don't even want to keep. Okay, this is part 5 on how I lost my son at 18. This really is going to be the last part because I'm already at the end of the story. And 2, I don't even like to keep reliving this moment. I really hate reliving this moment, even though I'm healing and I'm moving past it or whatever. I just don't like reliving this over and over and over. And y'all seen I just kept trying not to cry in the last part. So I'm really going to be done with this story in this part. But so like I said, I finally just accepted, like, okay, we could try to see if he's going to breathe on his own, because I don't want to keep putting my son at 1 year old through these painful, extraordinary measures. Like, I'd rather him, if it's meant for him to be in a better place with God himself, then I'd rather him be there than to be here on earth just hurting and in pain every single day, just trying to hold on just for me, because I genuinely felt like my son was just fighting all them days just for me. He didn't want to leave his mom alone. And I was like, and I had to accept, like, bro, I want my baby in a better place, so I'm not gonna be selfishly just wanting my baby to just be here, living on all these tools or anything like that. When no, like, I didn't want that for him. So that we came up with a time where they was gonna come back and put the plugs and stuff on him, and they was asking, like, do I want to hold him one last time? And I'm like, why y'all keep saying one last time? Like, it's like all the doctors and nurses then gave up on him, and it wasn't like they just gave up on him, like they just knew my baby was gonna die, or they didn't have the faith that I had. It's just like they knew the facts of the whole case and stuff like that. Like, even with my night nurses, they was so sweet, and I got really close to them over the past days that my son was in the hospital. And I used to ask them, like, have y'all seen kids go through this, recover from this? And they would tell me, like, yeah, we seen kids come back. We didn't even seen kids younger than him go through something like this and come back, but they don't always be the same. And it was like, in his case, like, it's gonna take a long time for him to even be able to function at all, a little. So they just knew the facts of the whole thing. So I'm like, no, I don't want to hold my baby last time, because I was still holding on to faith that it's a chance my baby could come back. And I didn't want to hold him because, like I said, part of his skull was still off. I didn't want to hold him and I hit something wrong or I do something wrong. Like, my baby was so fragile, I didn't want to do that. Like, I would hold his hand, I would kiss his feet, I would rub on him, but I did not want to hold him because I didn't want to mess anything up when it's a chance that maybe my baby could still come back. I don't know. So they came back on the 22nd of the time they said they was going to pull the plug, and I chose to leave the room and go in the little hallway waiting room because I did not want to be there when my baby took his last breath. I'm sorry, I did not want to be there. I did not want to see that. I did not want to experience that. I just wanted to go in the other room because I was just hoping while I'm in this other room they'd come back and tell me, like, oh yeah, he's taking a few breaths on his own. Like, that's what I was hoping for. I wasn't hoping that they'd come in there and they would tell me, like, oh yeah, he took his last breath at this time. Da 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 da. I was not hoping for that. So I'm in the other room. I'm just waiting. They doing all the tests on him to see if he could breathe on his own. Like, it was more than them just unplugging the tube. Like, they don't just boom unplug the tube and then see they breathe. It was some type of test that they was doing as well to see if he had any type of signs of brain movement and things like that. So I'm just sitting in the room waiting and this and that. And then they finally told me that he took his last breath when they unplugged the tube and he passed. And I know I keep saying about different times how I just lost it, but then I really lost it. Y'all thought I was saying I lost it then. I lost it then because I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was angry. I was mad as hell. Like, I was mad as fuck that my baby just died. I wasn't even mad. I wasn't even sad or nothing like that. So I start punching it. Like, I'm in this little room. I start punching the walls, kicking the walls, doing everything. I'm like, bro, I swear to God, I'm going to, like, bro, I was going crazy. And you gotta think of my mindset then, because I'm not a suicidal type person. I'm like, and from what y'all can see, from what I done told y'all, my story times and updating y'all and stuff like that, answering y'all questions, I'm not even the type of person to give up. When I get knocked down, I get back up quick. I don't let nothing consume me. But that right there, that consumed me. I'm telling everybody in the room, like, my son dead, so I'm going to die myself. I'm telling them, like, I would kill myself right now. There's no reason. I'm telling everybody, like, it's no reason for me to live. It's no reason for me to live. It's no reason for me to live. Like, I just lost my son. It's no reason for me to be alive. I was straight. I was straight. And I was going crazy. So once they seen that, why did they try to keep me myself in the hospital? The same hospital my son just passed in. Now they telling me that they might have to keep me there for a psych evaluation because I'm saying all these crazy things. What? I'm not crazy, bro. I just lost my son. I'm not crazy. Y'all don't got to keep me here. So I'm like, what? So that made me go even more crazy. Like I told y'all, everybody just trying to hold me to keep me to stop, but I'm not letting it go. Bro, every time somebody let me go, I'm punching them girls. I'm throwing chairs. I'm going crazy. So, and I didn't even, and after that, like I said, I didn't want to see my son take his last breath. So I didn't even go back in there and see him after that because I wanted the last memory of me seeing him, kissing him, June 13th, June, whatever day it was, me kissing him goodbye and telling him I'm going to see later. I wanted it to be the last good memory. I didn't want the last memory of me seeing my son pass up. I was just going crazy because I'm like, bro, I didn't get to hold my baby one last time before he passed. I didn't get to like experience my baby and really knew that the day that was gonna be my last day of seeing him be himself was gonna be the last day of me being himself. So I was just over at that point. When they finally got me to calm down, we all getting ready to leave the hospital. I'm just like I was so numb. And I'm looking back at my behavior. Like, a lot of people used to think, like, oh, she outside, she partying. It wasn't even that at that time. It was just, I was so numb. Like, y'all got to think about, I'm 18 years old, and I just lost my baby a month before he turned 2, a month before I turned 19. So I was just so numb to the situation that was going on. And I was just out of it. So back to her. After I told you, like, she went to jail. Of course, after my son passed the way he passed, I'm going to have an autopsy done on him. Of course, why wouldn't I? So she's in jail, this and that, we waiting trial, going at it, So after I had the autopsy done on my son, they was telling me, like, the way he passed, because she still, like I said, she still haven't told nobody exactly what she did to my baby. Still to this day, 2025, she still have not told nobody what she did to my baby exactly. So, then... they after the autopsy, I was talking to the detectives and everything. They was telling me from the autopsy, you could tell that she must have hit him really, really hard. Like, I don't know if she punched him, kicked him. We don't know. Like, we still don't know. She must have hit him like that, and then she, like, must have threw him, like, against the wall or something like that, because it's, like, his brain was damaged. But then after that, it's, like, his brain started rocking back and forth, which made it start bleeding and swelling from the damage that she did to him. So I can't really say this is what she did to my baby, because I still, to this day, really don't know. So that's what happened. And like I said, they told me that it happened hours before that he got to the hospital. So it was a chance that my baby could have been saved, really been saved before his brain even got that swollen, before he even got that bad. It was a chance he could have been saved, because when she, like I said, when she was texting me around 10 o'clock telling me she couldn't watch him no more, that's when she committed the incident on my son. I know 1:30 in the morning when she sent me the picture of my baby face messed up. She did it around that time, and that was her ways of just trying to cover her tracks on what she really did to my baby. So it was a chance I really could have saved my baby. But instead, she let my baby stay in her apartment suffering that whole entire time until it got to the point when she knew I was about to get ready to get off work. Then she came up with this whole little story, sending me the picture of the baby. That's what really happened. So the fact after his autopsy and I was talking to the detective and I seen, like, dang, it was a chance my baby could have been saved if you would have just been honest and told me that you did this to my baby, or something really happened to my baby at the time that you did it. So yeah, that's how... To sum it all up, this is how I lost my son at 18 years old. I'm thankful and I'm blessed that I'm able to have another baby right now. I don't know what I've done to deserve it after losing him, but I'm grateful and I'm thankful for that. But forever, no matter what, that's going to be my first baby, my first love, my first everything. Like, I will never forget my son, Kyrie. I will never, like that's still my baby, no matter how many kids I have after that. That right there is my baby. And like I said, when it comes to her, we're about to still have to go through trial and things like that all these years later. So she's in jail. She haven't been sentenced yet, and trial haven't started yet from who knows why. But yeah, this is the story on how I lost my son at 18.